Hello everybody. So this is kind of going to be a weird video. It's going to be split up into three. I'm going to actually put chapters on it so that depending on which one you're interested in, you can actually go to it and see how I do it. So what we're doing now is I'm going to clean up the drums, and the way that I normally do that is I use noise reduction. I have over here, I have my DBX 2266 XL compressor gate. So I'm going to, now, first off, if you have a DP32, you do have the ability to use the internal noise reduction as well that's in there. I will show how to do both on when I do that video, but I'm going to use that for all three. So I've had this thing for, I don't even know how long. It's been, I had my original one was a 266, and then I went out and I think a couple of years later I bought the 266 XL. It's got to be close to 20 years old now, but it works great. It does exactly what I need it to do. And yeah, I've used it on vocals, I've used it on everything. So that being said, once again, what I'm doing here is I'm going to show you my vision for where everything's going. So what I did was, once again, XL is beautiful for this kind of stuff. So what I've done is on each of these I have put which one we're working on. So 2488 DP32 model 24. Now as you can see, the DP32, even though it says 32, technically only has 2 extra tracks compared to the 2488, which is also the number of tracks on our DP24. And you'll also notice that on the Model 24, that one is missing a track because 2324 on the Model 24 is main. So I didn't even bother putting it on there because it means nothing to me, because I can't use it for any kind of mixing, so it's not even important. So what am I going to do here? So this is currently, I'll give this to you. So yellow is where things are or where they'll end up. So as you can see, I have drums and noise reduction over on this side. So scratch vocals are bad. They're just going to go away afterwards. Like here, scratch MIDI. So one thing I had to do was, because I wanted to move the overheads, which is right here, and I messed up recording it, so it's right and left overhead as opposed to left right overhead. It could be the same on these two. I don't know yet. I haven't looked at these yet. I'm on the 2488 at the moment. So what I've done is I have moved them over to overheads here. I fixed this in the bounce. I did it with a straight bounce. I listened to it. I thought, well, do I need any more compression? No, sounds good. I'm just going to bounce it as it is. So I bounced it over to overheads here, and now it's on 2324. I then just pretty much did the same thing. So I took the scratch MIDI, moved it to 1314, so it's out of my hair. So I put it at 1314 because that's the first stereo track on the system, and I'm not going to use it right now. And I'm going to put, at the moment, I'm going to put snare, kick, high tom, mid tom, and floor tom on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on this one. And yeah, so that what I don't like is that the floor tom, well, I don't like that 8 is being covered by that, because generally when I record, I like to put the bass on 8. So in this case, I'm going to put the bass on 7 on the Model 24 and on the 2488. And the Model 24 is pretty much going to look the same, except that it doesn't have as many tracks. I thought about putting the high toms in here, all here, but I don't know how many rhythm tracks I'm going to do, so I don't want to lose extra stereo tracks at the moment. So that's why I'm leaving these blank. So this is pass 1. So yeah, so here's initial recording, drums, same. Everything is recorded 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're just going to move them by doing these bounces. So yeah, so that's where we're at with this. I'm going to now clean up the tracks. The overheads I'm not cleaning up because they're overheads. I need everything that's in there. But yeah, like snare, I just mainly want the snare sound, kick, high tom, the toms, all that stuff now needs to be cleaned up. So that's what we're gonna do now. Yeah, so if you want to go into the chapters and skip to whichever one you want at this point, that's fine by me. That's what it's there for. So I will talk to you later. No, I won't talk to you later. I will start with that now. So, okay, so yeah, we're doing this on a DP, not a DP, a 2488. So what we're doing, I'm just going to show you how I do one, and then yeah, you can just do it for all of them. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. So first off, this is my first time ever doing this on this machine. So let's pull out for a second here. So what I am doing is I'm taking track 8, which is the floor tom, and I'm moving it to track 12. So that's why you see track 12 flashing recording. Select is on because I was using that for something. I should actually put select on 8 because that's the one I care about. Don't worry that the input's on. But as you can see, so if I go to select on 12, it lights up on B to tell me that input B is what I'm using. I have input B up at this point. Yeah, it was a little bit of work to figure out how to do this, and I had made mistakes not only on the board but also connecting to the compressor noise gate. So that's all been fixed now. Yeah, so what I've done is, so what we're doing, and the reason why I'm doing the floor tom first is, if I show you my little map here again, the floor tom is on 8, and at some point I want to move the snare there, but I need to get the floor tom off first. So I am bouncing the floor tom to 12, which is where I want it to be. So that's why it is the way it is here. So that being said, so let's look at the board here. I'm trying to get this as clear as possible. It's not bad from this distance. I've tried to deal with the glare. The problem is if I close everything, then I can't see anything. So I turned off the overhead light here. Not bad. Let's keep going from here. So what you do is you hit the send button. So send button. So along this corner here you have EQ send, fader, and solo. Now send is your effects sends. It's also your loop send. So what is the loop send? Well, on this machine, loop send, so you have an internal loop as well. And the nice thing is on this machine, which I wish they would have done with the DP32 and the 24, is they have a loop. You can see this first one says loop. It's hard to read. Let's get a little closer in here, best I can. Try to get myself out, so I'll stand back a bit. No. So you have loop, you have effect 1 and effect 2. Effect 2 is hard to see. I'm using effect 2 in this case because effect 1 I'm going to put the mid tom on. So I'm going to do track 11, but right now I'm just doing track 12 because I want to show you how I did this. So see if you can see that. So I have it set. Gotta go. So I'm going to select track channel 8 or track 8, which is the track that I am sending into the compressor noise gate back into the system. So as you can see, it says over here 8. Great. So I'm on 8, and now if you look, the select 8 is on as well. So now that I've made you sick, and you're only using effects 2. You're not going to send it through both. You're sending it through 1. So I have it positioned on pre. So you use your cursor keys to move it to whichever one you want to deal with. You can work on both. You can work on all 3. So you can push up. I think my up button is dying a bit, but as you can see, it highlights or darkens the wording to let you know which one you're using. So I set it to level 100. I had it at 127 like I do on the DP32. Wicked distortion. So when I first looked at this, the master was set at 100. So I thought, okay, Maybe that's what it should be set at. Maybe after 100, it's kind of like a boost, and I don't want to use that. So I put both at 100, and then I have, as I said, so it's going through. Let me just show you over here. It's hard to see. So this line. This here is my DBX 266 XL. I had, like I said, I had an original I had a 266 as well that broke. So I have it using the XLRs. So it's coming in. This is effects 1, effects 2 coming in, and then I have them coming out. This would be effects 1, effects 2 coming out of the compressor, and then going back into the system using input 1 or input A and input B. So I have it all color coded. This is like a 3-foot snake or 4-foot snake that I use for this kind of stuff. So that's how it's working. That's how it's going in, and then right now XLR, this one here is been set to use to work on it. I can't talk today. So that's one that I'm using. That's this side I'm using on the system. So let's go and I'll show you how this. Now some other fun things which I love about this machine. So you have your monitor. You have you have the same thing on the DP32 and 24, but it's laid out so much nicer on this. So if I click this, I can switch to effects send 1 and 2, which then lets me hear what's coming through. So if I play it, it'll start in a sec. I don't know if you can hear. No, I don't think you can hear that on your thing. So, whoops. Let me just turn it up. Let me turn the volume up on here. So that is what it's collecting. That's what's coming in. That's what the microphone recorded. So if I go back, let's go back to stereo. Let's see. I don't know what it's in there. So it goes into some kind of weird unknown mode. Just let me see if I see anything on the board. Nope, doesn't say anything on the board. Okay, so I have no idea why it has a blank space and then it goes back. So, but yeah, so what that is that's what I recorded with just that. That's the mic that's on the floor tom. So if I play stereo, so we'll just play it. So what I'm trying to do, and I'll show you here. So I don't know how well you can hear it. It is very quiet. Like it's negligible. So it went from, let me bypass it for a second. And that's the floor tom being used. It went from that to that. And then you'll hear the floor tom come in a sec. And that's all that I really want from the floor tom. So I might play with it a little bit, try to get a little bit better. And then all I do is I record this onto track 12. And then that means that the floor tom has now been moved over there with just that, what I want. So I might see if I can do a loop around the bump, bump, bump it up, so I can hear it a bit more and play with it. But that's how it's done on this. Not hard to do, not hard at all. So if you're wondering about the back here, just here. So there's the effects sends coming in, and then I'm using the snake. I'm using my snake to do it all. So this is why there's 4 XLRs plugged in. And yeah, this is the back. I'm not using anything else here. No MIDI, nothing. So that's how this is done on the 2488. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do all of them. So I'm going to do the snare, the kick, the high tom, mid tom, and then I'm going to record them down. It's 2 at a time because you only have two sends out. I know somebody asked me, why are you only doing 2 at a time? That's why, because I can't send any more out. If I could send out 3 or 4 or 5 or all of them as separate items, I would, but I can't in this case. So that's where we're at with this one. So next will be the DP32, and I will do that shortly. So let's move on. All right, I thought before I switch over to the DP32, I would show how it sounds on the 2488 now that I've gone through each of the tracks and I've cleaned them up. So here's just the tracks. I'm going to bring up the overheads as it goes. So this is just what I've got so far. So you're going to hear mainly snare and kick. Now you might be able to hear in the background still a little bit of, other noise because I can't get rid of it all. I'm doing the best I can. So there was the toms. So now if I bring up the I've just slightly brought up here. I'll even show you. I have slightly brought up the overheads, and these I just have on full, well, not on full, but as you know, they're at high volume, just to show you. So yeah, that is where I'm at. So now that's done. So that means that, let's just looking at the board on this one. So on the board, as you can see, so overheads, this is all done. This is now over here. Track 8, so the floor tom, I did actually export it because just in case I felt like, maybe I should, I'm probably going to export the rest of them. It just takes a long time on this machine to do it. So track 8 has already been exported so that I can then deal with it if something goes wrong. I have an old version of it that I can pull back. So that's why I did that. So yeah, so this is how it is now. So track 1 is scratch vocals. These are still there. I can wipe them out now. Well, I'm probably going to export them first before I do that. And then so snare, kick, high, mid, and floor tom, scratch, MIDI. So that's what I have right now. And then overheads are on 2324. And as things go along, I will use these tracks. So the mono tracks I will use for recording bass, guitars, and that. And we'll talk about that when I get there. And that's where we are now. So yeah. So now let's move on to the DP32. I gotta go set it up. So here we go. All right. So first thing I want to do, I just hooked this up. I haven't even checked it yet, so I don't even know if I've got everything connected properly. But first thing I want to do is I want to take, let me show you here on the board, track 3132. So 3132, and I want to copy it to track 910. And the reason is because if you look at my board here, we're going to move the scratch MIDI from 3132 to 910 so that it's not interfering with what I'm doing here. And I'm going to do this using the track edit stuff because I can. I probably could have done this with the 2488 as well. I didn't, but yeah, we're going to do it this time. So let's go back here. So what we do is pull back a bit so you can see more of the screen, more of what's going on. So first off, we are going to push track edit. Track edit. So what we want to do is we want to, let's go down the list. I think there's like a copy, clone track. That'll do it. That's all I want to do. So yes, you could have done this on the 2488 as well. You could have cloned the track. So we're going to clone the track. We're going to, source is going to be, not all. I don't know why it said all. If you clone the track and then clone the track. So here, so that actually worked out well because it's if you look, I'll just go on the highlight down. 3132 is our source, and 910 is where I want it to go. So I'm going to say yes. So we're going to clone the track. Now the nice thing is you can't clone a track that already, like you can't copy something on a track that's already got something. It won't let you do that. So if I go track edit now and I do clone track again, you'll see that, okay, I'll go back, boom, and say, oh, I got to try that one day and see what happens when I do that. So, oh no, I guess I will let you do it. Oh, well, hey, not good, not good, not good, Tascam. You want to let me do it on other things. So now if I look at my timeline, you'll see 910 now has something on it as well. So now we're going to go through and we're going to do the same thing. This time I'm going to start with snare. Let me make sure it works before I tell you, because I want to show you how to do it both ways. So give me a minute. All right. So yeah, I think I'm going to end up using the internal noise reduction because it actually appears to be working better than my DBX 266 XL out there. So what we're going to do, I'll show you how I did this. Now, you can do this either way. It's pretty much the same thing. So now, right now, I actually do have it going through and bypassing. So I have bypass on. I don't know if you can see it over here. These little red lights here saying that's bypass. That's bypass. So this has now been bypassed. So it's not using it at all. But it is still going through the same system because I was going to use it afterwards. But so what you want to do this internally. This is the internal version. So to do it internally, you got your effect sends. So my effect sends are coming out and then they're coming back in. And in this case, once again, they're coming in through input A and B. So that's over here. And that's why I have this on. Then what you do is you go to mixer. Well, first you assign your track to, so in this case, I'm taking track, well, I'll do that. I'll show you that in a sec, but I'm taking track 2. No, I'm taking track 4. So 4 is snare. And I'm taking it and I'm moving it to, it's going through the effects loop, effects send 1, and it's coming back. I'm going to show you that in a sec. So I'll show you right now. So if I go to mixer and I show track 4, I have, oh, it's not track 4 going. What am I sending then? I'll have to look because that's what I thought I was sending. Track 4 is snare. It's supposed to, no, it's not 4. It's not snare. Track 2 is snare. Track 2 is snare in this case. I messed that whole screen up. So this here, let me show you. I'm going to have to rewrite this. So yeah, this is wrong. So it's 4. In this case, it is snare, kick, hi-hat. Same with this one too. I'll have to move it because these two are 7 and 8 on this case. So it's, yeah, snare, kick, hi-hat, or not hi-hat, high tom, mid tom, floor tom, left, right. So that's, I messed up. So I just assumed I did it the same way on all of them, which I did not. And the reason was because on the 2488, I had to use phantom power, so I needed the first 2. I needed one of the first 4 plugs for inputs for that reason. So that being said, so what I'm going to do is, so track 2, which is the snare, don't follow that. Track 2 is the snare, and I have that set. So once again, I have pre on. I'll just go down so you can see it better. So pre, full effect, master's full. In this case, I don't seem to have a problem with it being at 127. On the 2488, it was an issue. Yeah, we're taking that. That's going through effect send 1, going back into the board into A. So I have assigned here 21, 22. I've also switched to mono. You don't have to do that. I do it because I like to. So 21, 22 is A. And then I have 23, 24 set up for B. I'm not going to do that at this moment. That's afterwards. But I really think I'm going to be using the internal because I got a much better noise reduction out of it. So then, yeah. So now I switched over to mixer here. I go pick up input A source. So I click the source button for input A. And now if I go into dynamics, because that's what input A would use, I have, so insert effects is on. So dynamics, so I've got attack, release, and everything set up. And now if I go and I play it, because the thing is I want to be clean. So now I listen to it. Gotta wait till it starts. So, yeah, it's pretty clean. So I take suppression off, you can start hearing things. So there, yeah. Now you can pretty much hear everything. So that works really well. Now I'll just bring up 7 and 8. So that's the overheads. So yeah, so that works really well. I'm going to use that. I'm going to forego doing the DBX. I'm using that for this because it's working better than the DBX is. So that's a plus right there. The noise suppression on this is amazing. So yeah, so now I've set up input A. I'm going to set up input B and do the same with the kick. And I'm going to rewrite what I wrote here because this is wrong. I'll rewrite what I wrote in my thing here because this here is not right. So yeah, I just got to move everything over. So snare, kick, hi. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that as well. So yeah, so that is what I would suggest doing. Now, once again, if you want to run it, if you want to use an outside source, it's the same setup. There's nothing different here. The only difference is that it makes sure that when you do this, that if you're not using it, then you just go in and you turn off your dynamic effect, unless you want to use a compressor on it. I don't know, but either way, so now it'll be, and that's just the one channel. That's what's coming through the snare. So that's what I'm going to use. And yeah, so that's how easy it is to do on the DP32. And let me finish this, and then once I'm done, I will show to you again what I've done, like how I've cleaned it up, and then I will do the Model 24. So that'll be the next one. All right. So once again, here's what it sounds like. Here's what it sounds like after I've done the DP32. I just start playing it now. It should start in a sec. So you can really tell it's definitely cleaner than the last one. And I'll start to slide the overheads in a second. I'm bringing the overhead up. There it is. So yeah, you can definitely hear a difference. All right, so on to the Model 24. All right, so after some fierce cleaning, I had to clean my monitor 1 and 2 contacts to make this work. The faders were just dirty as anything. I guess I don't use it enough. I don't use the monitor channels enough to do it. So, all right, so let's look at this thing here. So what we've done, I'm going to, I did do, okay, I'm here, just so you know, did an update here. So yeah, this is correct now. So it was snare, kick, high, mid, floor, left overhead, right overhead. So then we're going to move to snare, kick, high, mid, floor, scratch media has been moved. The nice thing about the Model 24 in this case is that it records, like it, when you import, it doesn't erase the file that you imported, it keeps it. So then you can do whatever you want with it. So in this case, the file was still there. So I more or less just re-imported onto 1314, and then cleared track 2122 to put the overheads. So 7 and 8, all I did was, all I did was I just more or less I copied. I went into the computer, copied track 7 and 8 into the music directory, and then used the import tool to import them into tracks 21, 22, saving me a huge amount of time. So it was nice to do it that way. It was I enjoyed that. So let's talk about what we're doing now. Okay, so once again, the Model 24 does not have an internal noise gate. It has compressor. The green dials here are compressor. Does not have an internal noise gate. So what I have to do is I have to do what I did before. I'm using the 266 XL, the DBX model thing, and I'm doing it through the monitors over here. They're hard to see. You can see my hand over here. That's where the monitors are. So I got 1 and 2, and they're going into the board, coming back. Now the one big difference, which I forgot, is that I can't assign inputs to a track. I have to more or less use the input that's on the track. So my snake is not really long enough to go across this board here. I could cover 1 to 8, no problem with it, because what I usually do is I have 1 to 8 is the snake for the for my rack system, and then the other half, 9 to 22, which would be another 8, is the drum snake, which is back hooked up. I rehooked it up. That's when I used to record bands in here, like when we used to have band practice, and I'd record the band practice. So that being said, so what I've done is, so it's going in, coming back through here. It's using the DBX 26XL or 266XL, and then I have it coming back onto tracks. In this case, because I'm doing the floor and the mid in this case, so 5 and 6. The nice thing was that I didn't have to worry about where the snare was, because the snare is going to be overwriting the right overhead, which is now moved, and I don't have to worry about that. So I'm not worried about it. So 11 and 12 are going to be mid tom, floor tom. And then, so I had some trouble. These faders here, the orange monitor faders, you got to remember to put them up, because otherwise you're not going to get anything going through the monitors. They were terrible. They were dirty. I didn't realize it at first, and I was playing with track 12, trying to figure out why the heck am I not, why is it fading in, coming back, and then it's dirty, and I'm getting all of a sudden. And then so I cleaned tracks 12 and 11, and they sounded better, but I'm like, well, why all of a sudden are these tracks giving me issues? And then I realized, oh, maybe it's the monitor. So I had to clean them. They were dirty. They weren't really bad dirty, but they were dirty. So how to do this? Okay, sorry, I'm going off track again. There's a lot of stuff going on in this thing. So on tracks, we are here, which is 5 and 6. So what I've done is I have moved this up to halfway, and I put it at 0, so that this is getting sent through monitor 1. In this case, I think it's you can see it's list aux and then monitor 1. This is the auxiliary section. So you got monitor 1, 2, and then FX. So monitor 1 goes through monitor 1, comes back into track 11, which is what we want, and then 6, which is the floor tom, is using monitor 2, going out monitor 2, coming back onto channel 2, like into that track 2. So that's how I'm doing this here. And if I play it for you, let me just play you a bit so you can hear it. It's not, let's see, yeah. So I tried my best to cut it as much as I could. That is the best I can get out of it. And then the tom will come in a second and you'll hear it. So now remember, there's 3 toms. That's why you hear boom, 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 and all of a sudden it gets loud and then it's quiet, because there's the other tom is getting hit in there as well. So that's the best I can do with this one. So this, that covers all 3 for recording. I'm going to finish this recording and then I'll play you what I end up with, as well as what I was doing with the other ones. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this stuff. So that's where we're at. Yeah. So I'll cut now, show you what I've done at the end when I finish mixing this down, and then I will move on to either bass, probably bass or guitar. So we'll see. All right. All right. This is what it sounds like. So I did a better job cutting the stuff. Let's lower the snare a bit. Bringing up the overhead. All right, so that's that for now, and yeah, we'll move on to the next part.